to go on, and I have all my own anxieties and fears and struggles here that I have to keep from poisoning in any way their experience. As long as I can steer them clear of any culty-like churches, I'll be okay.
Never trust a guy who gets mad about cutting his hair, but ignores his family's isolation and control. Today, we expose the ugly truth behind the cult accusations and why this man's priorities are seriously messed up. Yo, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to ThreadoraTalks, where the conversations are always next level. I'm your host, Christopher, and today we're turning things up a notch. Trust me, this is one video you do not want to miss. So let's dive right in. Seriously? Now he's worried about cults? The same guy whose wife and kids are stuck at home with zero friends, no family visits, and absolutely no meaningful social life, because he won't allow it? The call is coming from inside the house, folks. And Branna and Aurora just got permission to have friends, did they though? What I really heard was, Mommy will chaperone them at church. Maybe some like-minded girlfriends if she's feeling generous. Maybe. Oh, good point. What is their definition of cult? Anywhere that tries to make him cut his precious hair? Because yes, he mentioned twice how his religion pressured him to chop those golden locks. Not a peep about the brutal restrictions on the wives. No, his hair comes first. Priorities. People. The man's so vile it's almost impressive. And Muslims, please. He said he'd be fine with the girls attending an LDS church, so clearly that's not the cult. He really is that dumb. Why is Robyn even asking if he's okay with his adult kids going to church? And why does he keep qualifying it? Okay, but only if it's under my supervision. Seriously, who talks like that? An absolute monarch wouldn't want to live under an absolute monarchy, especially when they aren't even the head of state. It doesn't mean he's smart, just a textbook narcissist who'll torch everything as long as he feels in control. Maybe he does have some insight. He's realizing he got sucked into a cult as a kid, clueless and vulnerable. The Robyn kids are especially naive. His nightmare? Those girls meeting a guy like him and ending up brainwashed too. He doesn't want them to be like Mary or Christine because he knows how bad it was. But Kody, insight? Nah, just a little sprinkle at best. I think that concern about cults was a deliberate clapback. Remember, he got mad when one of his kids called out their brainwashing. Kody grew up mainstream LDS, which many label a cult, but suddenly he's okay with that. And then he doubles down by saying he's fine with them attending the LDS church. Makes zero sense. His jealousy over the OG 3 wives was a test of faith, right? Yet his vanity about his hair was an absolute deal breaker. Guess which one really mattered to him? Spoiler. It's the hair. This guy is shallower than a sidewalk puddle. I took his rant as an accidental admission. Yes, he was in a cult, but he only got angry when they told him to cut his precious locks, or when church leaders freaked out about him going on TV and exposing them. Toxic doesn't even begin to cover it. And those demands to cut his hair, like stabbing a knife in the kidneys, all those hair products wasted. The sheer lack of self-awareness is staggering. I wonder how many family members have actually realized they were in a cult. Some probably never will. Bodily autonomy only matters to narcissistic men when it affects them or their supply. Meanwhile, the women are being taught to submit sexually to their husbands, and he's whining about not being allowed to cut his hair? Disgusting. Christine and Janelle had 6 kids for that cult. Yeah. No thanks. I was raised in a church with the same rules, and I'm telling you, it's a cult. I don't buy a word of his fake concern. His friends are affiliated with the same kinds of groups. He didn't want Mary to get released from the church because it would make him look bad. Robyn's original 3 kids were from a prestigious family he coveted. This whole cult spiel, it's a clapback to deflect criticism. Mark my words. Kody will eventually renounce his past religious beliefs and probably become some mega church pastor. Think buying a $2 million mansion means you've made it? Think again. What if I told you Kody and Robyn's lavish lifestyle is hiding one massive financial mess, and it's only getting worse? Today, we're breaking down exactly how they're juggling insane spending, a risky mortgage, and some seriously questionable money moves. How on earth did Kody and Robyn manage to buy an even larger $2 million house? I keep wondering how Robyn's monthly spending habits even make sense alongside such a hefty mortgage. She's already dropped $7,000 this January alone. On dolls. Yes, dolls. If that's just the Etsy and doll budget, imagine the full scope. Groceries, home shopping channels, Victoria's Secret, Vegas Art, Amazon, and countless mall trips. With an $11,000 a month mortgage, plus utilities and other bills, how is this sustainable? What income streams do they actually have? Robyn seems to have no other source of revenue besides the show, and Kody's gun business looks like it's limping along, with signs of clearance sales and going out of business posters. Several of their ventures have apparently flopped, turning Coyote Pass into little more than a dumping ground. At this point, the most plausible explanation is Kody's secret side hustle, OnlyFans. Yes, the abs are apparently irresistible, but honestly, no one should have to endure that mental image. If there's a subscription model, Robyn is surely the only subscriber, paying just to keep him clothed. The infamous undies in the pond scene with those giant bloomers, potbelly and pale legs remains permanently burned into viewers' memories. Rumors abound about who might be funding this abs empire, but the reality is far from glamorous. The show barely manages to blur the visual horrors, and those blurry edits only highlight how unconvincing the attempts are to hide those so-called magnificent abs. Financially, they seem destined to become textbook examples of a house poor. A $2 million home is not just expensive to buy, it's costly to maintain, especially when paired with extravagant spending on worthless collectibles like cruise ship art, overpriced costume jewelry, and dolls dressed in outdated period costumes. TLC money likely provides a solid base, maybe up to $25,000 per episode for the pair combined, and Kody might bring in a few thousand a month from cameos. But that's probably barely enough to convince a bank to approve such a large loan. Most lenders look at income and debt ratios, not how much you blow on shopping sprees. Still, living this way feels like juggling credit cards, hoping the next show renewal keeps the cash flowing. Downsizing would make sense, but instead, they move into a bigger house and show up to the tell-all in a convertible, clearly driven by ego rather than financial savvy. The new mansion already shows signs of neglect, rotting decks, broken AC, deferred maintenance. It's a costly burden that feels destined to spiral out of control. Likely, they leveraged their existing property, Coyote Pass, to qualify for the loan, holding off on dividing or selling it until the new purchase was finalized. They probably pocketed a few $100,000 from the sale of their previous home, which helped cover down payments and possibly pay off family members who shared ownership in Coyote Pass, though legal title changes haven't been made public yet. After 19 seasons, they've earned significant money, but also appear to be burning through it rapidly, with no evident retirement savings or financial cushion. The show's future looks uncertain, and the couple seems to be clinging to it as their main income source. Meanwhile, their personal dramas and questionable financial decisions play out on screen for all to see. In short, this move feels like a risky gamble on a fading reality TV career, with a looming financial crash waiting just around the corner. Everyone's obsessed with perfect home decor, clean lines, muted colors, zero clutter. But what if I told you that some of the most talked about reality stars are doing everything wrong on purpose? Today, we're unpacking one of the wildest, most chaotic decorating disasters you've ever seen. And trust me, You won't believe your eyes. Robyn hangs the art just an inch from the ceiling. Because obviously, who wouldn't want to strain their neck staring at stuff that feels like it's about to crawl away? And this whole Ariella-proofed thing, does that even exist? Ariella definitely comes off as a my way or the highway kid, and honestly, that's kind of refreshing. Unlike the other girls, who seem terrified of Kody's grumpy moods, Ariella's out there taking shovels to his precious vehicles. Granted, he told her to, but then acted shocked when it backfired. Brilliant parenting. His reaction is still hilarious to think about. Good thing he remembered the camera, or who knows what would have happened. I actually feel for Ariella. She's exuberant, bucks the whole quiet, docile girl stereotype, and lives with a dad who's prone to rage and a mom who collects perfect little ribboned dolls like trophies. Kody doesn't strike me as the patient type, considering how tightly controlled Mormon families usually are, especially with little girls. Ariella's wildness isn't a bad thing. More kids should be like her, because society quickly snuffs out that kind of chaos. Honestly, I'm here for her wild energy. And the whole culture of keep sweet is exhausting. More chaos, please. Ariella versus Kody? Perfect. He yells at her too, so it's not exactly a happy household with Kody raging and Robyn shushing like she's managing a library. Now, about that clock situation. Because apparently her legs are so long that hanging it an inch from the ceiling made sense. When looking at her dagger, you almost have to double-check your own place isn't that bad. Spoiler, it's not that tragic, but close. Way too high. Robyn's run out of wall space thanks to hundreds of paintings, most paid for by the OG3, right? Their bedroom walls are nearly floor to ceiling, covered with pictures. Yes, pictures, not pictures, making it possibly the tackiest bedroom on the planet. Between her and the nanny, that art isn't going anywhere. Nobody else wants it, that's for sure. Why is the art placed so weirdly? On the edges of walls, above doorways, too small for the space, and never centered. It's like the scale and placement rulebook got tossed out. Maybe it's because her legs are so long, or maybe that spot was where a giant rack of supplements used to be, possibly explaining the odd clock placement. Even then, it's still terrible. This was filmed when they were about to sell the house, so you'd think a real estate agent would advise hiding clutter and clearing counters. Nope. Looks like they left it exactly like this to avoid touching nail holes. Or maybe they just didn't want the camera crew to see their massive supplement stash. The cameraman barely got 2 steps inside before stopping. Kody was told to hang that clock, and guess what? He found one stud, the only stud he ever finds, and called it a day. 0 effort to find a better spot or even another stud. I wouldn't be shocked if he glued the damn thing to the wall. Hey, Kody's the only stud in his house. Remember that towering shelf of pill bottles, vitamins, and supplements next to the clock? Looks like they finally cleaned that mess up. About time. Makes you wonder if the clutter only appears when cameras aren't around. I wouldn't be surprised if the clock magically appears lower and centered next season. These people really love their clutter. OMG, that's a lot of supplements, and none of them seem to help with basic organization. And let's talk about Kody. He's more demolition expert than handyman. Probably where Ariella threw a ball and dented the wall, which now the clock conveniently covers. Mystery solved. That clock is ugly. Seriously, does all their stuff come from Cracker Barrel, QVC, or some overpriced tourist trap? Robyn's style screams knick-knack queen. With a tacky twist that gives off the weird excited/gross tingles you get when you love to hate someone. Also, did she put honey in her tea with the tea bag still in? Asking the important questions here. Her legs might be model level long, but her decorating skills, non-existent. The clock should be in the trash, or at least nailed in properly so it's not hanging by a thread and about to fall at any second. Picture frames and random crap teetering on walls give me anxiety. To be fair, I'm terrible at decor too, but when family visits, they help me out. And they're affordable and tasteful. Just saying, oh, and her eyebrows. They're on completely different latitudes. Why does Kody always look like he just rolled out of a gutter thinking he's the next big thing? Where did all the supplements go? The clock matches all those hideous QVC dishes she hoards, right? I remember that windowed cabinet packed full of them from the OG McMansion listing. Normally, I enjoy seeing people's home styles, even if different from mine. But Robyn's taste, total WTF. Remember, this is the same woman who puts curlers in her hair and leaves them there in the shape of the curler. Why? Curved edges on a tiny clock? That thing should have stayed a fancy plate. Probably just reused an old nail hole and hung it there with zero thought. A lazy choice, not a conscious one. And those weird short orange balloon valances? Hello, 80s throwback. People even stuffed those with crumpled paper for extra poof. Embarrassing to admit, but I went through that phase too. Honestly, it's hard to focus on anything else because that clock steals the scene. Also, Robyn has aged dramatically, barely looks like the same person from the start of the show. She could be cast as a cartoonish evil witch now, with that permanent frown and pointy chin. They literally can't hang anything at the right height or position. How else does she know how long to run the blender? She's got to tilt her head back to see the timer because her long neck bulge is straightened out from that. Speaking of blenders, there's a red Vitamix. Those start around $500 on QVC. Ugh, more clutter that probably doesn't get used. Why does Kody look manic even in photos? And seriously, RoboJaw's facial features placement makes me crazy. I'm at least 10 years older than her, but good lord, wait until those marionette lines deepen and connect to nasolabial folds. Her house is stuffed with clutter. Anyone moving in with that much stuff would have boxes tossed out left and right. The clock placement alone would make me lose my mind. Looks like it's about to fall any second. Like someone just flung stuff up last minute before the camera arrived. I always wonder, does she actually think this looks good? Because the junk all over the place is seriously irritating. Why are all the appliances out on the counter? Are the cabinets so packed they can't hide anything? Who needs this many supplements? Also, the wall color looks like dog poop. Maybe white curtains would help, but the red and dog poop combo? Awful. I feel better just saying it. It's cluttered and chaotic. Just like them. Enough already. How does Robyn have the time and energy to find, order, and place all this junk? She tries to fill every empty surface with random stuff she finds online. It's exhausting just looking at her house. FYI, that clock is the Temptations brand, matching all her other Temptations dishes piled in the cabinet below. She decorates her house like she dresses herself and her girls, like a slightly creepy Barbie doll dream house, complete with an old-fashioned dollhouse her uncle or daddy made. Clearly, the thrill is in buying, not displaying. Everything gets shoved in a cabinet, forgotten as soon as it's purchased. If Kody was smart, he'd put parental controls on QVC also. In earlier footage, the vitamin hoard was right where the clock used to be. Classic. Never underestimate what a doll obsession can hide beneath the surface. What looks harmless at first quickly spirals into a serious problem. This story is proof that some hobbies are just plain unhealthy. Robyn's doll obsession. Way worse than anyone thought. She's thrilled she snagged her Eric so her Ariel doll can be happy. Yeah, that's definitely weird. Like, really weird. And then there was that gem where she said her 20-year-old daughter was oohing and ahhing over a doll, +1 made her son smile. Seriously, this is weird AF. At first, it seemed impossible someone would actually buy all this stuff just to mess with her. Nope. Turns out Robyn's just straight up psychotic. But okay, credit where it's due, she actually takes the time to write thoughtful reviews for handmade small businesses. Etsy sellers live or die by those reviews, so that's kind of sweet. Now, where the hell are these dolls? There has to be a doll room. Do they have closets? Shoe racks? That must be why we never see inside their house. Dolls everywhere. There are also reports she might be a hoarder on top of all this. As someone familiar with Etsy, the detailed kindness of her reviews was surprising. She's not the type you'd expect to be so nice. Unless, of course, the reviews aren't even hers. The username matches her maiden name, and there's only so many are. Browns who could drop 24K in a year on doll clothes. Yes, it was added up. Purple is definitely her color, and there are religious references sprinkled everywhere. Plus, she's bought some of the same items before, so it's no coincidence. Honestly, this whole thing feels like a glimpse into a very disturbed mind. Like the kind of internet history police find when they catch a serial killer. It makes my doll look like she has a waist. Wait, what? Why does a doll need a waist? It's a dark day, when not even dolls meet society's impossible female beauty standards. And then there's the modesty obsession. I love how their little shorts are built into the skirt for modesty. Seriously? Protecting the doll's purity? Maybe her dolls are anatomically correct. Or maybe she's just paranoid someone might sexualize a plastic doll. The lengths some people go to. The clothes. Others bought them for her. It's likely friends or family contributed. Even the dolls aren't safe from her floral obsession. It's like a weird floral cult, but for dolls. So that explains why she needed a nanny to babysit her real kids while she tended to her doll family. Creepy? Absolutely. A doll obsession can be harmless, but this is next level weird. Honestly, there's real concern for her 5 kids. She needs to put the credit card down and maybe get a life. But from what's known, any real social activity is vetoed by her spouse, who probably prefers she stays home playing with dolls than meeting actual people. Oh, and here's the kicker. She spent nearly $40,000 on doll clothes and still hasn't paid back money owed for the house. That's pretty outrageous. Also, if you ever want to see what a serious adult doll hobby looks like, check out doll diorama meetups. People spend thousands creating themed sets and dressing their dolls to match. It's a whole world. Robyn's definitely in that club. Christ-centered Christmas doll clothes are hard to find. Yep, that's a real review. Hard not to laugh. In the end, it's sad. People mock what clearly brings her joy. But maybe she just needs a better outlet and some financial counseling. Because spending 24K on doll clothes while her family struggles, that's not just quirky, that's tragic. All right, now I want to hear from you. Sound off in the comments and let me know where you stand. Agree, disagree, or something in between. And if you're enjoying the vibe, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you're always in the loop. Your voice counts, and I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for hanging with me.